Hello again, precious friends. Good afternoon. I'm making this video on the 16th, but it'll be published on the 17th, just in time for St. Patrick's Day. And we are going to do something with corned beef. Pardon my gloved hands. I'm having some kind of reaction on my skin, so I'm giving my hands a break from soap and water for a couple of hours at least, for a day or so. Anyway, so corned beef, a traditional meal for St. Patrick's Day, and something that those of us on the low carb and carnivore ways of eating can absolutely enjoy, presuming that you don't react to it. Some people who have histamine issues or histamine sensitivities or intolerances can have a problem with corned beef, in which case, of course, we don't recommend that you eat it. But under ordinary circumstances, a couple of times a year, enjoying some delicious corned beef is going to be absolutely appropriate and acceptable. So, most of us who are here paying attention to this aren't going to be interested in indulging in a complete New England boiled dinner. Although if that's your thing, I'm not going to tell you not to. But I'm guessing there's plenty of people who are interested in something interesting to do with corned beef other than just sit down to a big hunk of it, although that's not necessarily a bad thing. So what we're going to do is today, instead of making corned beef hash the next day, which is real traditional, we're going to do something else fun. We're going to make eggs in corned beef nests. It's going to be really fun. So let's get started. Hardware first, we're going to need our large skillet. I'm going to be using a soft spatula because I have a nonstick skillet here. Also have a hard spatula just in case I need it, and a fork because we're going to shred some corned beef up. And here we have our lovely corned beef. This is a pretty small one, but what we're going to do is this has been cooked in my crock pot for about 8 hours on low. Corned beef is like super easy to cook. Basically, take it out of the wrapper, put it in a pot cover it with water if you're doing it on the stovetop. Cover it about halfway up the side with water if you're doing it in the oven or in your crock pot. Cover it well and just let it cook on your stovetop on the lowest temperature, as low a simmer as you can manage, for about 3 hours. In your oven, depending on how big it is, for 2 to 3 hours, or as I said, stick it in your crock pot on low for 6 to 8 hours, or on high for 3 or 4 hours. That's it. You can use the seasoning packet. I have used the seasoning packet. I don't know if you can see the mustard seeds and other seasonings on here or not. I did use the seasoning packet because I like it, but you don't have to use it. It'll taste really good either way. So what we're going to do, since this is really super soft, we are just going to take it in our hands. Whoa, we might need to gotta pull some of this fat off, which we are going to use, by the way. But the big chunks of it. And I am going to need a knife, it turns out. Because these meat fibers are very, very long. So I'm just going to cut a couple of big hunks just to shorten up the meat fibers and make it easy to shred. So I'm going to pull off the great big giant hunks of fat because although those are delicious and eminently edible, we don't want them for this particular application. So I'm going to shred the meats. As you can see, we're just shredding it up. You can use a fork. I got a fork just in case I wanted it, but I think at this point my fingers are going to be just as convenient. There's a big pocket of fat. This fat, by the way, is so delicious if you just collect it up, put it in a skillet, start it cold, and just render it out until it's a crackling. Oh Lord, that is so delicious. And of course, you can use the rendered fat for cooking. It will add a delicious flavor to whatever you're cooking. It's great for cooking eggs. Anyway, so what we're going to do here is we're just shredding up this meat by hand and pulling out any big pockets of fat as we go along. The little tiny bits, you can leave those in. Oh, that's some pretty long. You don't want the meat fibers too long because that makes an issue. So here we go. We're gonna, now that we've got our meat shredded up, this is gonna go really fast. Let me wipe my hands off a little bit because otherwise I'm gonna have corned beef grease all over the place. There we go. Turning us on. Power. And temperature for, oops, I'm pressing down. I want to push the up button. 400. And that's going to heat up really quick. So we're going to put some bacon grease, or you could do this with your previously rendered fat. But I like the taste of the bacon fat along with the corned beef. And I'll just give it a moment to heat up here while I shred this up a little bit more. Just make sure this is nice and shredded. And also make sure it's not wet, because that's going to create a mess. It's going to make splattering, and I mean, of course it's going to be moist because you cooked it in liquid, but you don't want any like dripping water or anything. So it feels like this is starting to get, no, not quite yet, not sizzly yet. There we go. So we're going to take this, we're going to take about a handful, just like this, and we're going to put it down in the pan. And we're going to make a little hollow spot underneath. Going to make a little, like a well, like a nest. We're going to make a nest. And now we're going to take another handful. And we're going to make our second nest. You can make these nests a little bit smaller. if you want to. And I'm going to put a little more oil in here, a little more bacon, fat. It doesn't like it when I lift the pan off the heat because this is an induction top. And I'm going to just press this down a little bit just because we want that to get just nice and brown and crispy on the bottom. And I'll use my spatula to make sure it's not clinging to the pan. Keep in mind, we're not really cooking the meat here. We're just getting it nice and brown on the bottom. And now, this is so easy and fun. We're just going to put our little egg right there in our little divot that we made. I'm going to put just a tiny bit of salt because the corned beef, of course, is salty. And a little bit, oh, I can't twist the pepper grinder. My hands are slippery. There we go. A little bit of black pepper. Oh, yummy fun. Let's move this out of the way. This is almost done, guys. Of course, depending on how done you like your eggs. So now that we see that the eggs have begun to solidify well on the bottom, we're going to, you might need to help yourself out a little bit to push it up on the spatula. And swoop, there we go. Look at that crispy. And whoops, that one doesn't want to fold together. So, whoop, there we go. Now, how long you leave it on this side is going to have everything to do with how done you want your eggs. This one I could have left on its one side a little bit longer. But this is all about eyeballing it anyway. It's going to be delicious regardless of how done it gets. You can scooch it a little bit to make sure it's loose. Now this one is still kind of fluid on the inside. This pan is a tiny bit too big for the element, I think. For the cooktop, so I'm going to scooch it over so this side can get a little bit more heat. And I think I'm going to take this one out. Feels like the white is done, but the yolk is still nice and soft. Now, you might be able to see that the white is still a little bit runny in there. If you're having trouble getting the white to set, you can always get yourself a lid out and cover it up for a little bit. And that will make things heat up a little bit more. Sorry this has taken so long to cook. I need to get myself a pan that fits the element on this thing a little bit better. Apparently. I'm really not that experienced with using this countertop thing yet. So I think we're gonna, just in the interest of even cooking, we're gonna turn it over again and try to get some of that egg white set. Yep. So anyway, corned beef is super easy. I encourage you to buy a couple when it goes on sale at the market and keep one around. We eat it 3 or 4 times a year just because we like it. It's great to eat cold. It's great for breakfast. It's great for dinner. We like to eat it sometimes with sauteed cabbage just because we like to eat a little cabbage every now and then. So I'm going to take this off and remove our lid because I think this is done. Yep. And I'm going to set this over here. Ooh, the smell is wonderful, but it also smokes up the kitchen a little bit. So here we are. I think a little bit more black pepper, which I love. Anyway, so easy, peasy, delicious. Eggs in corned beef nests. A little bit fancier than your regular old fried eggs and corned beef. A little bit reminiscent of corned beef hash. Let's have a taste. I know my husband is going to want to put mustard or maybe even ketchup on this, but we always, I have sugar-free ketchup, so that's going to be fine. But I don't know if you can hear how crispy this is, but it's really crispy and really delicious, and the edges of the little edges of the egg white are crispy. Oops. Tilt this down a little bit more. Oops. Come on, you. There we go. Crispy. Salty. It would be delicious with yellow mustard or brown mustard or any kind of mustard. But anyway, that's it in honor of St. Patrick's Day, precious friends. Eggs in corned beef nests. I don't know why I can't say corned beef today. Eggs in corned beef nests. Get yourself a couple of corned beefs. Once you cook them, they keep, I kid you not, they will keep for 2 weeks in the refrigerator once they're fully cooked. And easy to reheat and easy to eat cold. Make yourself some carnivore bread and have yourself a corned beef sandwich. And also some eggs and corned beef. All right, that's it for today, precious friends. I hope you have a happy St. Patrick's Day. And I will see you again soon, very soon, for more videos and more recipes. Peace, love, and meat. Bye-bye.